Hello, YouTube. I'm going to talk about mental diets. Neville Goddard has this term called mental diets, and that's basically the diet that you feed your mind and your subconscious. And it goes something like this. If you feed yourself negative information, negative thought, you argue with people in your head all day, and admit it, a lot of people do, right? You might have a boss that you don't get along with, or a spouse, or someone else, and when you're alone, you actually argue with them in your head. You carry on these little mental arguments. You dwell on that, and all that stuff comes back to you, right? In your interactions with that person. So what Neville Goddard said was, you need to control that mental diet, right? Just like if you want to control a regular diet for whatever reason, you have to control your mental diet. You have to control your thoughts. It takes some practice, right? Try not to react to certain things. And definitely in your time when you're alone with your thoughts, try to see those people in a positive light, right? Imagine that boss congratulating you on the great job you did. Don't carry on arguments with them in your head. It may seem weird that this stuff can have that kind of effect, but if consciousness creates your individual 3D reality, your own consciousness creates that, then it stands to reason that, you know, your mental diet can have quite a profound effect on that, right? On that reality that you experience. So, you go through my YouTube channel, I have some videos on mental diet, and in one of them, you'll see us, I mentioned ducks, like quack, quack, ducks in the description. Listen to that one, especially. Neville Goddard speaks about how, I'll tell you the story, but it's great to hear him tell it because I love that story. I listened to it, I don't know how many times. And he basically talks about how, he grew up, his family had animals. It was kind of like a farm life in Barbados. And his mother would tell him, basically, they got a lot of fish. Fish was cheap and plentiful. And they would feed their ducks fish. The ducks would eat the fish, and they would get perfectly healthy and plump eating the fish. Fish is good protein, right? But if you wanted to turn around and cook that duck, have a duck dinner, you had to change that duck's diet for, I think it was like 2 weeks minimum, where you would basically isolate the duck and feed it nothing but things like bread, sour milk, crackers, whatever, corn, anything but fish, right? You would feed it that bland diet to basically purge the fish, fish oils and things like that out of its system. Because he said if you didn't and you cooked that duck, you would see that you were eating duck, but you would think you were eating fish, and it would be disgusting, and you couldn't do it, right? And that's a great story. He tells a story about how one time he forgot to do it. He didn't have the duck isolated for long enough because he got, he got distracted by, because he was a young boy at the time playing rugby and this and that. And he did it, but he did it late, and his mother, gave him a whooping because basically they cooked the duck, and he said it was like fish, and nobody could eat that day. They couldn't have their duck dinner. So that falls into the whole mental diet thing, Like, it's amazing that, you change that duck's diet and it becomes a perfect duck dinner, right? But if you if you continue the old diet of the fish with that duck, then you can't eat it, right? It's two completely different experiences based on that diet. Well, it's the same thing with the mental diet. So that's a great analogy. That's a great way. He had a great way of illustrating things. And that's one of my favorite stories, the whole duck thing and how it relates to mental diet. So he's like, don't, And then he would go on and tell stories about, people who would do this exact thing I mentioned in the beginning of this, argue with their bosses, argue with their spouses, and then wonder why their relationships are in tatters. And, it takes some practice, believe me. I mean, I'm human just like you, and I have challenges in this arena, but I'll tell you, when I do, I fall off the wagon, and I pay for it. I pay dearly for it. But when I'm disciplined with that mental diet, I have better results. So I have proven it to myself. And he says with any of his techniques, prove it to yourself. It's easy and it's free. Um, you know, uh, Look, Neville Goddard's books online are cheap. You could get them in Kindle for like 99 cents off Amazon. Uh, the videos are all over YouTube and everywhere. The old talks, the lectures. Look at my channel. I'm putting up as many as I can. So please like and subscribe. And, let's have a back and forth. Let's do questions on this stuff, Give your examples or your experiences with this stuff. I'd love to hear them in the comments. So anyway, thank you. And please like and subscribe, and we'll talk soon.